Greetings, comrades. This is Andre Adis Desjardins with another, or a first actual, Magic the Gathering Universes Beyond Crack-A-Pack. So we have a Lord of the Rings Tales of the Middle Earth booster. Want to open up, talk about the little I know about the draft format, and we'll probably able to draft this soon. I have no idea what's worth money. I guess I hope to open Orcish Bowmaster. Alright. We have, there's rare, there's uncommons, lovely, excellent. So first we have, and I'm going to pronounce these things wrong because I can't pronounce English, let alone Elvish or Troll. Olek Crusher. So right in 3 for a 4/4 Troll Soldier with Trample, and he can't block unless you control a Goblin or Orc. There actually appears to be quite a few 4/4s for 4 in this format. I wonder if you can all hear my cat, Franny. Say hi, Franny. No. Okay. Yeah, so it being Troll itself doesn't help it block. I don't think you're blocking much with a 4/4 Trample. Probably a C in the aggressive decks. I'd be happy to play it. There is an Orc and Goblin theme. That's from there. You can see that from that text, and there are lots of Orcs and Goblins. So cast into the fire is 1 and a red for an instant. Choose one. Deals 1 damage to up of one of each 2 target creatures or exile target artifact. This is one of those, let's have a card have 2 effects to see which one you want. Dual Shot tends not to be playable in limited formats, at least main deck. There's not that many artifacts you want to shatter, so this is like a sideboard, but against some of the human decks, there are a lot of X ones, so you might actually bring this in from the sideboard occasionally. I'll give this like a sideboard C+. Alright, we have Hobbit Sting. Note, hobbits do not have natural stingers. It's 1 and a white for an instant. It deals X damage to target creature, where X is the number of creatures you control, plus the number of foods you control. This is your fine, like, C- removal. Hobbits do tend to make a lot of food, is the joke. It's conditionally kills something, but it's in white, so it's going to make lots of both creatures and food in this set, but it's probably a C-. You'll run it if you need some removal, but I don't want to. Alright, now for Wrath. Now for Ruin. Is a white and 3 colors for a sorcery. Put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. They gain vigilance until end of turn. Then the Ring tempts you. So for those of you who don't know, you want to look it up, but the Ring tempts you, gives 1 creature at a time an ability that goes up in 4 steps. In terms of the Ring tempting you, getting to step 2 is pretty important if you want to do that, because it lets you draw and discard on attack, so the card filtering is really good. Everything else after that's gravy, like it's fine to have it. As for this effect, there is a red-white go wide deck. The humans tend to make a few extra tokens, so this can be fine in those decks, but you generally actually want +2/+1 for 4 mana, even temporarily. I've even played this in the red-white humans deck. It's what I currently have on Arena, and this is the last spell I cast. I also end up discarding it a lot, so this is like a C-. The Ring tempting you at 4 mana doesn't add that much to it. But you'll play it in an aggressive wide deck if you want to, if you need to. I'm not looking for any of these. Alright, here's a card I'm looking for, Bewildering Leechcraft. It's 1 in a blue for an enchantment or enchant creature. As it enters the battlefield, it taps enchanted creature. And enchanted creature has, if this creature would untap during your untap step, remove +1/+1 counter from it instead if you do untap it. So as I was explaining, this was a replacement effect, so it really is 2 mana tap enchanted creature. What this does is it allows the armies to untap. The enchantment removal's worded kind of weird, so the armies can still function afterwards. That being said, this is a good card. There's not that many other ways to put +1/+1 counters on the set. For Wrath for Ruin is 1. This is like a B-. Like, this is good removal. I am happy to play this removal. And it's what I am picking so far. Ooh, speaking of good removal, we have Claim the Precious. That's 2 black and a colorless for sorcery. Destroy target creature. The ring tempts you. Sorcerer Speed Murder is very playable. The ring tempts you. Again, happy to have it. This is probably B-. Very happy to have this in my deck. Alright. Many Partings is 1 green. Sorcery. Search library for a basic land card. Reveal it, put it in your hand. Then shuffle. Create a food token. So it's Attune with Ether, quote unquote. No, it's not. I think this is much better in Sealed than it is in Draft, just because in Sealed you want to be splashing more. In my one Sealed, I did actually have like a 4-color Legends deck. Between this, the green uncommon, and the land that allows you to filter for legendary creatures. I suspect you may see that in Draft, but it will come up a lot less often because people will take the legendary creatures they see. This format seems more like a 2-color deck, and you really don't want to run this in a 2-color deck. That being said, if you're doing a little splashy splash for something super powerful, this is fine. It's probably like a D. I would need a really specific reason to play it, and I'm not looking to like first pick this and go into a 5-color pile. This is much more straightforward 2-color set. Alright. Mordor Musters. It's 1 in black for sorcery. You draw a card and lose a life. Excellent. Or not excellent, but good. And you amass Orcs 1. So this is the vampire from Rivals of Ixalan. The 1/1 you lose life, draw a card. It may be a little better because there's blue and red have some adjacent spells matter theme, and the fact 2 of them make it 2/2 is probably better than just having 2 1/1s in general. That being said, it's not bumping out Claim the Precious, but like this is a C+. I'd happily play this in my deck. Alright, Ent's Fury. Ents are so well known for their fury. 1 in green for sorcery. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control if its power is 4 or greater. There's supposedly a 4 or greater matters theme. Yes, so it does that. And then that creature gets +1/+1 till end of turn, and it fights target creature you don't control. The power 4 or greater themes tend not to show up in Limited. The first line there is just a little bonus, and it's fine, but I will run a 2-mana creature gets +1/+1 till end of turn. It fights a target creature you don't control, and then the +1/+1 counter is just a bonus, or getting paid to have your 4/4 fight their 3/3 or whatever, you know, or your 4/4 fight their 4/4. That would win with the +1/+1 counter. So this is good removal. I would put it below the 2 removals beside it because you need a creature. So I put it as like a C+, but you're going to happily run 1 or 2 of these in your green decks, even without power 4 or greater creatures. Just the +1/+1 and fights for 2 mana is a very good card. Alright, the Torment of Golem. A black and 3 colorless for sorcery. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose an online card from it. That player discards that card. Amass Orcs 2. There was a 3-mana one in War of the Spark that was similar, and it was playable, and I think this one's playable. I think the format's slower. I think looking at their hand on turn 4 will obviously probably turn 3 and make a 1/1, which was the War of the Spark one, is better. This is still very playable. I would play a 4-mana 2/2. They look at their hand and discard it. But you don't want like 2 or 3 of these in your deck. There's very much diminishing returns on it. So yeah, I'd play this. It's probably a C, C-. I'd happily play it in my black decks, especially the black-red amass decks. But you don't want a lot of these. One's probably optimal. 2 maybe there. There's my token. I got food. I got a nice looking swamp. He's showing me the mortar. Oops. That's the rare. We'll pretend we didn't see that. Wink, wink. Protect, we're not taking it. Alright. Fear, Fire, Foes. 1 red and X sorcery. Damage can't be prevented this turn, so this better do damage. Fear Fire Foes deals X damage to target creature and 1 damage to each other creature with the same controller. As playing the Red-White Humans deck, this card obliterated my board. It's not going to be that in everyone, but a red and X to kill a creature is fine, probably B- playable. I still might Claim the Precious or Bewitching Leechcraft over it. But maybe not. Maybe the 1 damage to everything is just extra. If you took any of those 3 cards, I think you're doing a fine first pick. Alright. Gorebag of Minus Mongrel. It's a black and a colorless for a legendary creature Orc Soldier 2/2. Whenever a Goblin Orc you control deals combat damage to a player, you may sacrifice it. When you do, choose one, draw a card, or create a treasure token. It's fine. There's not a lot of Goblin tokens, so it's not like I would be super stoked to cash in a 1/1 Goblin token to draw a card. Not so much create a treasure token. Sometimes you'll be able to trade a 1/1 army in for a card, in which case that's a good deal. But a 2/2 for 2 legendary actually kind of matters in this set, so it's fine. This is probably a C-. I still think you want the removals over it, but if you took it for like the fun or build around factor, that's a fine thing to do. But I think this is probably just below the removals, but I'd still be happy playing it. Alright, Groschenbosch Instigator. A red and 2 colors for a legendary creature Goblin Soldier. There's a 1/1 Goblin I'd be happy to sacrifice, by the way, because when it enters the battlefield, you will mass Orcs 2. When you do, gain control of target non-legendary creature an opponent controls with less than the amassed army. It gains haste. This is just fine playable as itself. 3 power and toughness over 2 bodies is good. There's not super lot of sacrifice outlets, but this would be one of the premier things to sacrifice. Just this being more of a core set, I'm starting with one of the removal spells, but this is probably in most decks probably a C, but in like a deck where you can make use of the extra body on a Steel and Sack, like a B, but I'm not starting there. I'm still starting on one of the removals. Alright, and we got Frodo, Sauron's Bane. 1 white for legendary creature Halfling Citizen. It's 1/2, and we have the Figure of Destiny type things. So for white-black hybrid, if it's a citizen, it becomes a Halfling Scout with base power, toughness 2, 3, and lifelink. That's a good B card right there. Like, I'd happily just play that. Maybe not. Maybe B is too high. Maybe B-. Like, that's a card I'd just be happy to play in a limited deck as it is. Then it's 3 black, so let's see. 3 black is hard to do. Even in a black-white deck, 3 black is hard to do. If Frodo is a scout, so the next step, it becomes a halfling rogue with whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game if the ring has tempted you 4 or more times. Otherwise, the ring tempts you. I'm not putting much stock into that. If you can live the dream, go ahead and do it. I'm going to put this as a B+ just for the first 2 halves. Just a 2/3 lifelink, Figure of Destiny type cards. Very fine, very playable. I'd be happy with it. I'm not putting too much stock in the 3 black mana, even in a white-black deck. That's hard to do. But hey, that's fine. One of the things is the ring gives evasion to smaller creatures, so at 2/3, well, a fine body to hold the ring. It's hard to actually get through and damage opponents. Getting the ring to 4 is real good for that, but yeah, this is probably B-. I'm still really boring and going to start on one of the removal spells. If you took Frodo, that's fine. I think you're fine either way picking either of these 3. I'm going to remove the blue one because there were actually a lot of black or red playable cards in the pack. So I'm hoping one of those are going to wheel. I'm going to just choose Claim the Precious is what I'm taking. The most boring removal spell. Boring but efficient. Fear Fire Foes might be correct. I guess it's splashable in a big ramp deck, so maybe, but right now I'm going to take Claim the Precious. Don't know if that's right. That's what I'm doing. But thank you for coming, Conrads. I hope you get to draft this set at least once, and this is Andre Desjardins signing off.